District Attorney Sandra, Doorley, Sheriff Todd, Baxter. My name is Chris Chichester. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield. I'm demanding public information from you. And what I'm going to do in this YouTube is read 14 Freedom of Information Law documents, and you will each refuse to comply with all 14. And you need to pay particular attention to the flag of New York State, because it's included in these documents that I'm going to read to you. And you both need to understand the motto on the flag, Excelsior, which means ever higher, because both of you know nothing about being ever higher. I have never committed a crime, Sandra, Doorley, and Todd Baxter, and that fact is irrelevant to you. Freedom of Information Law. Today's date is November 28th. This is the Freedom of Information Law. First two of the salaries for the Monroe County District Attorney's Office and the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I already have a list of salaries. You know, Leela Rowe took a copy of each out of my residence, which she came in here for a search warrant looking for a hammer. Yeah, you heard that right. And she was wearing these blue gloves that she left behind. I'm going to show you that document. Freedom of Information Law. When you get into the office on Monday, Perry Duckles, Michael Radler, tell your respective corrupt hack bosses to print out a copy of salaries at the sheriff's office and the attorney's office and mail it to me. Or click reply, put the document in PDF and send it to me. Freedom of Information Law, the requester. I am the requester. Has my name, my email, my address, 26 Sanders Farm Drive, my phone number, has my signature, has the date. Freedom of Information Law. Name the salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office of Sheriff Todd Baxter. What's not to understand about that? And I'm particularly interested, Todd, in your six-figure $100,000 cops. And I'm going to read some of those, which I've already read. Freedom of Information Law. Name the salaries of every public employee at the Monroe County District Attorney's Office. Sandra Doorley. You, Sandra, have $100,000 assistant district attorneys. Such as, I'll just take a look here. I took a look at a quick name. William Gargan, $113,465. It's easy for me to see that, even though I don't even have the doc in my hand, because I can just know that's a six-figure salary. William Gargan, $113,000. What does William Gargan do? Can you explain that, Sandra Doorley? You sat down with Michael Caine, the editor of Democrat Chronicle, and asked you, what does William Gargan do for $113,000? Because he's one of your snakes in suits, Sandra, sweetheart. That's what you have at the district attorney's office, and you're going to refuse to tell me the name of two public employees in my cases. Both times it did not talk in Penfield Town Court as I'm delivered to jail as an innocent man, and once in Livingston County. What the hell am I doing in Livingston County when I've lived in Monroe County for 9 years, first in Webster, next in Penfield? How does that happen? You refuse to answer that too. Snakes in suits, Sandra Doorley. You, Sandra, are a snake in a suit. How do you pay your public employees when the 41st hour is worked? How does that happen? Is there overtime? Is there overtime where the salary is the same? If a 41st hour is worked, a 50th hour, 60th hour, or is it time and a half? Just different ways to define this. How is that done at the district attorney's office, sheriff's office? I've been demanding this for a year. Four. How do you pay your public employees when they work a 41st hour? How does that happen? Because when I was a public employee in Albany and in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill, there was no overtime or time and a half. Your salary was your salary. I didn't make one penny beyond the salary that I negotiated when I was hired. And I said negotiated. They told me what it was, and I said yes. Well, you give me $5,000 more, and that was negotiation. I was just so happy to be there. But anyway, how do you pay your public employees for that 41st hour? How is that done? I don't have to be some big shot reporter. I'm a citizen and a voter. How do you pay your public employees when their 41st hour is worked. Throughout the United States, there are public employees that abuse overtime. They don't necessarily have to work a 41st, 45th, 50th, 60th hour, but they want to be there because they want that money. They want that paycheck. There are public employees that are extraordinarily dedicated, and when they're working 45, 50, 60 hours a week, they are working. And they love to do what they do, and in a number of ways. But there is abuse. There is no doubt abuse. This happens in Albany and especially in Washington, D.C., and those are the ones I'm most familiar with because I worked in each city. I don't know if there's abuse at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office with overtime, because that's up to the controller attorney general, who I will be in contact with. I simply am demanding, I'm not asking you, how you do it. How do you pay your public employees if the 41st hour is worked? Is it the same salary or rate, to use the general term rate, that they would be paid? If they worked an 80-hour work week, hypothetically, would they get what would be the equivalent of 2 paychecks? How is that done at the sheriff's office and district attorney's office? And you will refuse to answer because you are corrupt to the core, to your bone marrow. Every inch of you, Todd Baxter and Sandra, Doorley, is corrupt. And you are so delusional that you don't even know that you're corrupt. Freedom of information law. The cost of overtime, time and a half, while paid beyond base salaries calculated to Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, Todd Baxter. What's not to understand, Todd Baxter? What's not to understand in 1984, Todd Baxter? Total cost of overtime, time and a half, while paid beyond a base salaries calculated to Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, Sandra Doorley. What's not to understand, Sandra Doorley? What's not to understand in 1984? Sexual harassment is the invasion of the heart, soul, and character and decency of an innocent human being. And I've seen that happen in Albany and on Capitol Hill as a public employee. And I've used this freedom of information law, repeatedly, and in previous YouTubes explained what I believe it is and what it constitutes. And it can have multiple definitions of what it is and what it constitutes. So, if you have sexual harassment, and you know what that is, Todd Baxter and Sandra Doorley, and I'm not going to repeat what I previously said. You know what it is. Have you had employees coming to you saying and stating the name of an employee saying he's harassing her? Because it's usually always a man. Have you had that? Are you aware of that? Just a conversation. Just leaving aside momentarily the legal definition, or what I believe the legal definition of sexual harassment is, have you been told directly by a public employee, Sheriff Todd Baxter, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, that one of your public employees is engaged in what could possibly be sexual harassment? And yes, I understand that there are false accusations. I'm looking for a pattern of misconduct at your offices. I'm demanding to know if there's a pattern of misconduct, and the way to certify that that's happening is if you've used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the most important, arguably, legislation of the 20th century passed after a brutal struggle on Capitol Hill. Cost of taxpayers from Montgomery County Sheriff Todd Baxter spending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to apply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. The cost of taxpayers of Montgomery County District Attorney Sandra Doorley spending taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to apply with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. You, Todd Baxter, bought a camera called a surveillance device and put it on his building in 2025 Penfield Road for me. And you lied about it repeatedly. Lie after lie after lie. And when I wrote you this Freedom of Information Law on July 6, 2019, the cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars while Montgomery County Sheriff Todd Baxter fixed to a building at 2025 Penfield Road to Malice from Christopher Chichester at 26 Sanders Farm Drive walks through the parking lot next to the building. Because when you concocted crime number one for me, you used this civilian, Steve Desmond of Broccolo Tree and Lawn Care, to come to my residence. You used this civilian. I've been in contact with him repeatedly. Steve Desmond of Broccolo Tree and Lawn Care met with your employees to get me to come out of the house. I come out of the house. I stand right here on Sanders Farm Drive. I say nobody owns that land. I walk back in my house. How's that a crime? How's that possibly a crime? Your employees are in contact with this Steve Desmond, Brock Tree Lawn Care to get me to come out of the house because these two psychopaths, Raj and Layla Kumar, are demanding be arrested for walking through a parking lot. I'm walking through the parking lot one day, and Elliot Roth this business right here, where you put the, wait for it, Todd, surveillance device says to me, you're going to be arrested. I have no idea what he's talking about. So I've been in contact with you on July 6, 2019. You know what happened when I sent this? I went for my run. I came back, and I see Lindsay Barron walking across my front lawn with a Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, and I don't want any part of her, so I continue to run. She gets in a vehicle with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office employee, and then the car is alongside me as I'm running, and she's yelling out the window at me, I just want to talk to you, Chris. I just want to talk to you, Chris. I just want to talk to you, Chris. That's not the first time she's been here. She's been here multiple times because I used the phrase surveillance device, and you bought it. And I finally seen the footage. And you were lying about it repeatedly. From my mail.com account, I have email after email after email to Michael Radley, Kathleen Miller, and William DeDeo and Scott Alberti demanding you send me it. The first one I saw that was on the phone that has an assigned number, and you refused to send it because I'm not committing any crime. And 6 of your fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths were here. 6 of them were here. To me, just walking outside one day, standing here saying nobody owns that land and walks back in my house. How is that a crime? How is that a crime? Tell me, Todd Baxter. I've demanded this over and over and over now, 50 times, 70 times, 100 times. I don't even know the exact number. It's been so many times. Demanding from you. How is it a crime to walk outside, stand here, say nobody owns that land, and walk back in my house? Ask Shannon Meyer that. There she is, this lying, disgusting, hateful hack who falls down in my backyard dirt. I speak to her an hour for a phone. I don't even know she's writing a warrant for my arrest. Because I'm not doing anything that constitutes criminal behavior. Todd the fascist stooge. When I write this language, I get a nauseation inside me writing this language that I've written repeatedly about what you have done and what you have done to me. The cost of a surveillance device purchased with taxpayer dollars in Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter fixed to a building 2025 Penn Road to Monroe Christian Drive, Sheriff's 26 Sanders Farm Drive, walks from Parliament next to the building. How do you possibly do this to me? How do you possibly buy a camera and put it on a building for one innocent American, one innocent New Yorker? I have never committed a crime. You concocted this crime for me. And you're using this civilian Steve Desmond to get your fanatics, degenerates, and sociopaths here. He's a civilian. You're telling a civilian Elliot Roth that I'm going to be arrested because he says to me you're going to be arrested. I have no idea what I'm talking about. You're listening to these repulsive civilians, Layla Kumar and Rush, telling you I should be arrested. Your civilians are involved in this descent on my life and character. And for you, that doesn't matter at all because you are corrupt to your bone marrow. That's it right there. That's not the high resolution photo, but that's it. I look at that when I come back from my run. You know what I'm doing to you when I come back from my run? I come back from my run in the morning and I'm giving this to you every day on it. You can see me on that every day. I'm communicating with you with sign language, Todd Baxter, every day. Freedom of Information Law. Cost of taxpayers photography session approved by Monroe County Sheriff Todd Baxter, photographed 10 public employees underwater in a pool. How many times are you going to refuse to comply with this? How many times are you going to refuse to your public employees? Did you spend taxpayer dollars to hire the photographer who took this picture? Did you spend taxpayer dollars to set this up in this pool? What pool is this in? There's a pool somewhere in Monroe County where your 10 employees got in their wetsuits and descended into to get this photo, because this is the photograph on your Facebook page. And there was also language written underneath it that I have a copy of, describing what they were doing. A training exercise, right? That's what I was told. I don't recall the exact language underneath the caption. That was the caption, pardon me. But you want people to know about it. You want people to know that your public employees are underwater in a pool, doing nothing. How much did you spend in taxpayer dollars to take this photograph? And you will refuse to answer. Yes or no? Yes, I spent taxpayer dollars, and this is the amount. No, it is a private event, and no taxpayer dollars were expended. And both of those answers are alien to you because you refuse to answer. Where's Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter? Is Atlanta, Georgia in the state of New York? What's the flag of the state of New York look like? Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley. What's the flag of the state of Georgia look like? Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley. I used to see the flag of New York in the Hall of Governors when I worked for the governor of New York on the second floor in the Capitol, because right next to the press office, when I would leave the press office, there was this security door that you had to slide your car through. And then I walked through this area with these flags, and I would walk right by a collection of New York State flags going all the way back to 1801. They were replicas. And they are beautiful flags of the state of New York with the motto, Latin motto, Excelsior on it. And I used to love walking through that hallway. And sometimes it would be late at night during legislative session. And I'd walk through this dark hallway on the second floor, and I'd look at the flags, and it just made me thrilled to be a New Yorker. And I think I would speak for my colleagues too about being thrilled to be a New Yorker and just looking at those flags and about the state of New York and being a New Yorker. And I have loved being a New Yorker my whole life for 1,000+ reasons. And it is 1,000+ reasons if I had to sit down and write it. Excelsior, ever higher, is on the flag. And every single person at the district attorney's office and sheriff's office and every single person in New York should always aspire to be ever higher. Cost for a hotel and plane ticket for Monroe County Sheriff employee Ryan Fisher attended Super Bowl in Atlanta, Georgia on February 3rd, 2009 was Canine Dog Lola, and here he is. That's him. That's Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's it. Where the Super Bowl was played, there's Ryan Fisher with his dog Lola. How much did you pay for the dog? I refuse to answer that too. Tweeting about it. I read that tweet multiple times. I'm not going to read it again. This is the flag of the state of New York. Excelsior. And these scales represent fairness right here. And there's the justice wearing a blindfold, because obviously justice is blind, but not at the district attorney's office. Perry Douglas, is justice blind at the district attorney's office? The answer to that question, Perry, you don't know what the answer is, so I'm going to tell you. The answer is no. Does the prosecutor talk in court, Perry? Never higher. It has e pluribus unum here, out of many one, the Latin motto. And Phrygian. This is a Phrygian cap that's on this pole that she's holding. The Phrygian cap, that's freedom. And there's a rising sun over the Hudson River, and it has ships on it. And these ships signify coming to the new world from the old world. This is such beautiful, and the eagle up here, this is such beautiful symbolism dating back to 1801 for the flag of New York. I love this flag. And I believe that New Yorkers who understand the significance of this flag also love it. The flag of Georgia is nothing like this beautiful flag of the state of New York, because this is the current flag of Georgia. This flag here was adopted by the state legislature and signed, if there's legislation, by the governor on May 8, 2003. So this has only been the flag of Georgia for 17 years, and there's a reason for that. And Ryan Fisher was in Atlanta, Georgia, in this state right here. So, in God we trust. It's red, white, and blue. So, that's the way the flag of Georgia should look. But that's not the way it looked. Ryan Fisher, Monroe County Sheriff Office employee in Atlanta, Georgia, because this is the way it looked until 2003. With this sickening, nauseating, disgusting, vile stars and bars. One thing that I would see when I was in Kentucky in the 101st Airborne Division is a redneck. And I would occasionally see these stars and bars. Occasionally. And I would think, why is that symbol embraced? And I wouldn't think about it in the way that you ponder it, because I was only 19, 20, and 21 years old. And I can think about this in a different way today, given my age and experience. But I would look at it in confusion when I would see it in Kentucky, because there are rednecks everywhere. If you're a redneck in Georgia and you love this flag, then if you're a redneck in Kentucky, you're going to love this flag or something like it. What the hell is Ryan Fisher doing in Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter, with his repulsive history of racism and segregation? How much was the plane ticket? How much was the hotel? How much was the care and feeding of his dog Lola? Why was he in Atlanta, Georgia, Todd Baxter? And you refuse to answer that question. Your employees are overweight, and you, Todd Baxter, are overweight. I don't know what you look like now, as I've said in the previous YouTube, but you're overweight. What do you do to keep your employees in shape? What do you do to demand that they are in the physical shape, the physical condition that they're supposed to be in to do their jobs? Because you have to exert physical strength to work in law enforcement, sheriff's office, police department, anywhere. And I know the answer, because your employees have weight problems, and I've seen them, enough of them to know. And it's a disgrace. And you're a disgrace because you're overweight. What are the physical training standards or requirements of the Monmouth County Sheriff's Office, Todd K. Baxter? What you need to do, I'm going to tell you how to do your job, you bald-headed, corrupt hack. Institute immediately a PT test, just like the one that the Army has. It's very easy to do. Every 2 months, you test your employees. You need to do 60 push-ups in 3 minutes, 60 sit-ups in 3 minutes, which it should be 2 minutes, but I'm giving you a little latitude there in my suggestion for you, Todd the Fascist Stooge. 60 push-ups in 3 minutes, 60 sit-ups in 3 minutes, and a 2-mile run in 20 minutes. That's easy to do. A 10-minute mile. Do you think you, Todd the Fascist Stooge, could run 2 miles in 20 minutes, do you? You know the answer. The answer is no. How many of your employees can run 2 miles under 20 minutes, which is easy to do? Last 5K I ran 22 minutes and 30 seconds. And I used to be able to run 16 minutes. And no, I'm not telling you this from narcissism. I'm telling you this because I know times and how fast you can run, especially at your ages. There's no way I can run 16 minutes anymore. But I can run a 7-minute mile for 3 straight miles. Can your employees run 2 consecutive 10-minute miles? Can they? And the answer to that is no. The day and year Monmouth County Sheriff Todd K. Baxter rehired Michael Radler after his 20-plus year career with the Sheriff's Office ended. I thought he was a double dipper. Because if he had a 20-year career and then he retired and he was hired, you assume he's being paid. And he's not. I went to the payroll. I looked at it, $0. What do you do, Michael Radler? When were you rehired? And Todd Baxter refused to answer. A $0 employee. Zero, nothing. Not 1 nickel, not 1 dime, not 1 quarter. You don't even make $1, Michael Radler. Are you paid in any other way? Because why are you going into the office? Is there a foundation? Is there some amount of money that's private money connected to Todd Baxter that pays you, Michael Radler, $0 employee? Who's out your jail, Todd Baxter? The names and charges of every inmate in Monmouth County Jail from January 1, 2018 to November 28, 2020. My name's signature. How many? This is since you've been sheriff. Names and charges. Because I want to talk to these people about their experience at your jail and what happened to them at your jail. If they were attacked by one of your public employees, Todd, which is what happened to me. Sandra, sweetheart, what's the name of one of your prosecutors that doesn't talk in Penfield Town Court? How many times do I have to demand a name? What's her name? Total silence. And I asked Kyle Steinmark this too when he was still with the district attorney's office. I wrote him an email. Tell me the name of the prosecutor who doesn't talk in Penfield Town Court between John P. Lomenzo Jr. He writes me back. We don't discuss open cases. I'm looking at this from your employee, Sandra. Does this guy understand English language? I email him back. I say, my case has been adjudicated. I'm home. What's her name? Nothing from him. You won't even tell me the name of your public employee that doesn't talk. What's her name? I'll read this. The documentation for the case before Christopher charges with John P. Lomenzo Jr. Penfield Town Court. What's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? This guy, John P. Lomenzo Jr., has a relationship with Daniel Blouse II. Daniel Blouse III is a child rapist in Penfield, and he didn't recuse himself from that case. There's a story about that in the Democratic Chronicle, and it is chilling about what Daniel Blouse III was doing in Penfield on Anatel Luster, which is where I ride my bike. I know exactly where he was trying to rape children. So John P. Lomenzo Jr., this 70-year-old corrupt hack, is a child rapist protection racket for Daniel Blouse III. Second name I'm demanding, the second name that you, Sandra Doorley, will refuse to provide me despite the fact that this is a public proceeding and this is your public employee. A public proceeding and your public employee, Sandra Doorley. What's this boy's name? What's this 5'2", 3-piece suit boy's name? Total silence. He just walked up to Paul Lemaitre, handed her some piece of paper, and walked back to his table. Where's the character, the decency, the integrity on this guy? Why didn't he just say, this is an innocent man, I got nothing? Because he had nothing. Because you're corrupt and he's corrupt. That's why. You're going to refuse to comply with this. How many times I have to demand this? I don't know if you watch these YouTubes. But everything that I'm sending to you, I'm going to send you the transcripts, and then you can read it. When you sign for a registered mail return receipt, when I contact the United States Department of Justice. Documentation for the case of Christopher Chichester for Paul Metzler in Penfield Town Court. What's the name of the prosecutor, Sandra Doorley? You will refuse. Prosecutor that doesn't talk in court. And it doesn't matter you that I'm delivered to jail. And tell me, how's it a crime to walk out here, stand right here, say nobody owns that land, walk back to my house? How's that a crime? Nobody owns that land. Here he comes on his tractor. I go outside. What would you think, Todd? You're sleeping with your wife? 7 o'clock in the morning, it's Saturday, Sunday, and here they come. They haven't been here for 7 years. Nobody owns the land, and nobody owns that land. So, everything I just read to you, Sheriff Todd Baxter and District Attorney Sandra Doorley, you have now received November 28th. November 25th, same thing, every freedom of information document. Every document was the same. November 23rd, every document was the same. November 21st, every document was the same. November 19th, every document was the same. November 17th, every document was the same. November 15th, every document was the same. So, since November 15th, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 times since November 15th, I'm demanding your salaries at the district attorney's and sheriff's office, and also, if you've used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits for failure to comply with Title VII Civil Rights Act of 1964. And that's just one of the 14. You have used taxpayer dollars to settle employment-related discrimination lawsuits fair to comply with Title VII of 1964 Civil Rights Act. Then how does that happen? And it's usually always a man. What did the man do, the male employee do to the female employee? What are those details? On the payroll that I have, one of them that you didn't take out of the house. There are your 6-figure cops, Todd Baxter, and that's all you are as a cop. These are 6-figure cops right here on that one page, which I already read. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on this one page, including Michael T. Fowler at $128,029. So, since I already read that, this is the last page. This is the last page of your Monroe County Sheriff Office payroll. Party switching, bald-headed fraud, Todd Baxter. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 individuals on here that make $11,000 and $12,000. 12. $11,000 and $12,000. That's not a full-time employee. Are these the minors? Are these minors? Pardon me. Do you employ and pay minors at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office? William M. Dunbar $12,244. William M. Dunbar. Is William M. Dunbar related to any Monroe County Sheriff Office employee? Because you could be related and I have the same last name. What does William M. Dunbar do for $12,244? Eric J. Lorez. $12,244. The same salary, stipend, as William M. Dunbar. Brianna Elvin. $11,856. Brianna. I've said this before. I didn't know any girls when I was in elementary school named Brianna, and that's a lovely name. But names change because I love to look at the list of the most popular baby names. If you do that, well, then I do that because I love to see how my name Christopher's plummeting. I'm not as popular as I used to be. Pardon me, a little levity sometimes now and then helps. But I love that name Brianna, and I don't know anybody ever when I was in elementary, junior high school, and high school was named Brianna, and she is paid $11,856, along with Rachel June Scott, $11,856. Madison Ball, $11,856. Again, Madison Ball. I believe Ball is the same. That's a common name. I think there's an employee with Ball on here. I'd have to look. I don't know off the top of my head. Madison Ball is paid $11,856. Joshua M. Pristalco, $12,244. Odd A. Alman Soup, $12,244. Amber M. Cripps, $12,244. Camille N. Miller, $11,544. Is Camille Miller related to Kathleen Miller, your employee, and Andrew Miller, your employee? Is it Andrew Miller, Kathleen Miller, and Camille Miller? That's a common name. I don't know. And you will refuse to answer. You could be related to do the same thing and work the same place of employment. There's nothing wrong with that. Camille Miller is the daughter of Kathleen Miller. In all likelihood, the daughter of Kathleen Miller is being paid because she's the daughter of Kathleen Miller, and that's nepotism. Bradley D. Finn, $11,544. Thomas N. Evangelista, $12,244. Felicia R. McLaren, $12,244 are these minors. You have all these individuals make $12,000 or $11,000 a year and count the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. What do they do? That's not a full-time employee that does what constitutes police work, investigations, works on cases. And it's on the last page. And there are other employees that are in the ranges of $20,000 to $35,000 also that are there. So, you refuse to answer, Todd Baxter. How is it a crime to walk outside and say, they don't know that lady went back in my house? How's that a crime, Todd the fascist? And what I didn't hear, what I've never heard, pardon me, it's Miranda versus Arizona. You put the handcuffs on me, took me to your jail. I urinated in the car, then I urinated the jokes. I couldn't reach the toilet. I urinated on myself. So, I'm riding my bike down Penfield Road over the summer. Oh, pardon me, when you were up for re-election, Sandra Doorley. Riding my bike down Penfield Road, and I saw the sign, re-elect Sandra Doorley. I have my phone because I have my backpack. I took this picture, re-elect Sandra Doorley. As I'm standing there, about to take this photo, I'm standing on the sidewalk, and I'm looking at it, and I had to control the nauseousness that was inside me when I took this picture, re-elect Sandra Doorley. Official prosecutor Sandra Doorley stood in Penfield Town Court and didn't utter one word, one syllable, one sound as the handcuffs went on. I have never committed a crime. Re-elect Sandra Doorley. That doesn't matter to you, does it? Conviction Integrity Unit. You had to form a separate bureaucracy within the district attorney's office to police yourself. Perry Duckles, what does this Conviction Integrity Unit do? Does it really exist, and do I have that right? Re-elect Sandra Doorley. I can hardly wait until you run for re-election. Please run for re-election. Because of this. What does David Dice do for $103,599? David, what do you do for $103,599? What's your job? If you went to the Democrat and Chronicle with Sandra Doorley to accompany her, because oftentimes when someone like a district attorney goes to talk to the media, they'll have a top person alongside. So if you, David, went with your boss and you're asked, what do you do for $103,599? What's the answer? What's your job responsibilities? David, do you talk in court? Do you go to court? Tell me. Do you go to court anywhere in Monroe County, David? And do you talk in court? That's what I want to know. Does a prosecutor talk in court, David? How is an innocent man delivered to Monroe County Jail without a prosecutor talking in court, David? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 14, 15. 15 $100,000 employees at the district attorney's office. Where are you? Because I've ridden my bike by your office. You got 15, 14 $100,000 lawyers there? I mean, you party like it's 1999 with your $100,000 salaries, which includes Sarah Van Stridump. Sarah, what do you do for $113,465, Sarah? Are you partying like it's 1999 with your $100,000 salary? Such a joke and disgrace and abomination. Monroe County. You don't even know it. Todd, I'm very concerned about your official portrait here because you're still bald. You still got no hair on your head. You know what I'd like to know, Todd? I mean, when did you start losing your hair? Was it in high school? I mean, were you senior, 17 years old? I mean, when did that start happening for you, Todd, baby? I mean, when did you start rocking the bald look? Because I have here a photograph of, I think this is one of your employees. I may be wrong. On the list of salaries that I read here, I'd like to know if this employee I'm going to hold up. I could be wrong about this employee. I must confess, I could be wrong about her being an employee or a six-figure employee, Todd. This is Monroe County Sheriff Office employee, Lieutenant Ilya. And she is the Delta navigator for the USS Enterprise, Todd. And Todd, she has deeply suppressed memories, which you obviously have deeply suppressed memories because you don't know. You don't remember that you have a public employee payroll that you're supposed to send to me, Todd. So, Todd, you got a lot going on here. With you, your bald head, and Lieutenant Ilya with her bald head. That's a match made in comp plan, there, Todd. Todd, really, diagnostic and statistical mental orders, because the sheriff and the district attorney who exist with taxpayer dollars and refuse to comply with the Freedom of Information Law and send a list of salaries have to be mentally ill. So I'm still trying not to get sick. I'm gonna have to get some Pepto-Bismol from my cabinet here. Looking at this re-elect Sandra Doorley. So anyway, Todd, who's Lee LaRoque coming into my residence with these blue gloves to look for a hammer? You went berserk in here. You went through my father's dresser. My father gave me his dresser from when he was a child in Brooklyn. When I finally came home as an innocent man, I went upstairs. I looked at the drawers out of my father's dresser, knowing that this Lee LaRoque was in my residence, going through my father's dresser, enrages me. It would enrage any son who had his father's dresser at his house. What'd she find on my father's dresser? Nothing. And you exited with my Chromebook that I still haven't gotten back. Proof by affidavit. Let me ask one of you six-figure district attorney employees about proof by affidavit. Elizabeth Buckley and Raymond Benitez and Amanda Bowling. You're the first three on here. So, go for the three sums of the district attorney's office. Amanda Bowling, 108,338. Raymond Benitez at 117,798. Elizabeth Buckley, 115,302. The threesome, $100,000 a year, public employees at the district attorney's office. Now, Amanda, Raymond, and Elizabeth. How does somebody get in here by proof by affidavit? Where's the proof by affidavit? Send it to me. I'm going to write you a Freedom of Information law next for that. Because I'm going to be back on YouTube 48 hours. I'm going to read the same thing again. And one of the things I'm going to include is proof by affidavit. What does that mean, proof by affidavit? Looking for a hammer. Such a joke, a disgrace, a vile, disgusting, sickening, nauseating train wreck, Todd Baxter. So your employees. Leah LaRoque. Who the hell is Leah LaRoque in her blue gloves? Who the hell is this woman? And you refuse to tell me. When I write to you about her, it's only going to be about her. No other issues. You refuse to tell me because I don't see her name. Leah LaRoque is not on the payroll that I have. Perhaps I missed it. I can't remember every single name. But I believe I'm pretty damn good at knowing every single name. Perhaps I missed it. I don't know. Who the hell is Leah LaRoque coming in here by proof by affidavit? And where's that affidavit signed by this repulsive, bald-headed Paula Metzler in a wig? I'll tell you, I go in there, I look at that hideous wig on her head. I have to not to laugh when I'm in there. I'm looking at her and her wig. "90-day notice to vacate premises, 26 Sanders Farm Drive. I'm being evicted because of you, Todd Baxter. Dear Christopher, please consider this letter your 90-day written notice to vacate 26 Sanders Farm Drive by January 2021 at 9 a.m. Giuseppe Spano, Colleen H. Spano." This is because of you. You've done this to me. This is my eviction notice. You did this to me, Todd Baxter. You evicted me from my residence I've lived at since 2012 when I moved here with my ex-girlfriend, Laura. Beautiful Laura, who I've known since I was 20 years old. I was at the 101st, and I was in processing. She in-processed me, or assisted in it. Because I went down to headquarters, and I sat there, and she said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." And she said, "I'm from New York, too." That's how I met my ex-girlfriend. I live right here where I'm sitting. Laura and I used to be couch here. Laura and I used to watch TV here. I have known her for 35 years. And Laura's hired at the Penfield Public Library. When Laura and I moved here, she was so happy to be hired at the Penfield Public Library. We sat upstairs on the bed and we did a mock interview, and I would pretend to be interviewing her. And I would go over to see her at the Penfield Public Library. I'm not telling you this because of narcissism. Because when I would go see Laura at the Penfield Public Library, I do not know, at the end of the hallway to the left is this Star Chamber, Penfield Town Court. So even though Laura Riley works at the Penfield Public Library, and I would go see Laura Riley, employee at the Penfield Public Library, I do not know that the court is at the end of the hallway. Where's the jury, Sandra Doorley? Where's the jury, Todd Baxter? Where's the jury, Perry Duckles? Why isn't there a jury in Penfield Town Court? This court should be abolished immediately. Its operations should be suspended. They're going to abridge the civil and constitutional rights of innocent Americans, and abridging the civil and constitutional rights of innocent Americans means that this Supreme Court decision from 1966 never existed, because I had never heard Miranda versus Arizona. Let me ask one of these six-figure employees, for you, Sandra Doorley. Let me ask $123,817 Mark Monahan. Mark, and your $123,817. Now, Mark, where'd you go to law school? Did you study Miranda versus Arizona, Mark Monahan, your $123,000? Does it concern you at all working for the district attorney's office? Mark Monahan. And your $123,000 six-figure salary that I've never heard Miranda versus Arizona, I've never committed a crime. And the answer to that, Mark Monahan, is no. You know why the answer to that is no? Because at the district attorney's office, I know exactly how every one of you Kool-Aid drinkers thinks. Every one of you Kool-Aid drinkers on here. I'm gonna give you your philosophy of the law. It's 2 words at the district attorney's office. Everybody's guilty. I go to Canandaigua National Bank. I go to the ATM. I'm walking down Penfield Road, and I see your vehicles passing me. And at the time, I didn't know why. I walked across Sanders Farm Drive, down Willow Pond Way in front of Wegmans. I'm at the pharmacy entrance, and your 5 vehicles converged upon me. Your 11 employees that I counted, I believe there was more. One of them lowered his shoulder, ran at me, knocked me down, and my head bounced off the concrete pavement. What's the name of your employee that attacked and assaulted me with your 11 witnesses that I counted, Todd Baxter, and you refused to answer? Your employee, Todd Baxter, committed a crime upon me and delivered me to the hospital where I had to get an MRI. I'm inside that cylinder and I'm looking up at it. And I'm thinking, how the hell did I get in here? And the question answers itself because of what I just told you. Your employee, Todd Baxter, attacked and assaulted me. And I had $61.39. And then I'm just taken to Penfield Town Court without a prosecutor. He knocks me down. My head hits the pavement. I had to go get the MRI. And then I'm taken to Penfield Town Court. There's no prosecutor there. It's just Paula Metzler. Because she's contacted by someone at the Monroe County Sheriff's Office saying, we are going to descend on this guy. I don't know what the conversations were, but they're waiting for me to come out of my house. Where's the jury in Penfield Town Court, Perry Duckles? Does it matter to you? Where was the prosecutor? Wasn't present. No jury, no prosecutor. I'm attacked and assaulted, brought to Paula Metzler, declared guilty in Nedham and Livingston County. When I would drive to Albany, I would drive to Livingston County. And even though I have lived in upstate New York for nearly half my life, I didn't barely even know Livingston County existed. Now, I know that there are 62 counties in New York. I've seen a list of all the counties. But that's not a county like Clinton County up north, even though it's a small county, that will register right away, or Onondaga County, which is where Syracuse is, or, of course, Westchester County, or Schenectady County, or Steuben County even. I believe that I could get close to naming all 60 counties if I sat down and really thought about it. Livingston County is totally alien to me. That's why I'm telling you this, or saying this on YouTube, pardon me. Livingston County? If someone asked me prior to me being in Livingston County, is Livingston County in New York, I would have to think about it, and I believe that I would say no. What am I doing in Livingston County Jail, Todd Baxter? What am I doing in Livingston County Jail as an innocent man, Todd Baxter? What am I doing in Livingston County Jail, Todd Baxter, with Sandra Doorley, without hearing Miranda, without hearing the prosecutor talking? You refuse to answer all that. Justice is a joke to you. Justice is blind. Is justice blind, Sandra Doorley? Is justice blind, Todd Baxter? The answer from both of you is obvious. No. How is it a crime, Todd Baxter, to go outside, stand here, say no one owns that land, and walk back in my house? How's that a crime? I'll explain to you your other concoctions for you. I have to go to the grand jury now. What's the name of this boy that's going to take me to the grand jury? How does that happen? I'm going to be a ham sandwich. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen to me. Because you're concocting other crimes for me. Your employee, Todd Baxter, as I left my residence at midnight, I walked alongside of my house. They walked onto the front lawn of my 70-plus-year-old neighbor, one of the sweetest, nicest people anybody would meet, who lives alone with her dog. They hid in the bushes on her property. That sound like a comedy? It's not a comedy. She has large bushes. Large bushes that are 10, 15 feet high. They walked onto her front lawn. They hid in the bushes waiting for me to come outside the residence. They ran across the street at me. I turn around and run away, and at that point, I do not know who's running for me. I go back up the back porch. Your employee grabbed me by the arm. I'm running away. Do not know who this is. I had the hammer in my hand because I just grabbed it. He pulls my arm. Up goes the hammer. I pull away, run back to my house. And that's a felony. Another concoction of a crime for me. A felony? If I run back in the house and he doesn't put his hands on me, that's the end of it. And then you concoct another crime. In all likelihood, not a felony. How is that a felony? How is that any crime? I'm running away back into my residence to get away from two people, and I do not know their identity. I do not know them Monroe County Sheriff Officer. They are lying in wait for me, Todd Baxter. They're waiting for me. They parked their two vehicles on Penfield and their other employees. And then the body cam footage I was shown by Regina Harper, my public defender, they're walking around out there waiting for me. And I think there were 5 of them at that point. You're here for me. You're waiting for me. You're not just driving by. This is not incidental. You're on your body camera. You're walking around outside my house. You're waiting for me to come out of my residence to concoct a felony for me. I'm going to send you to the district attorney's office that body camera footage, those links. And it doesn't matter to you because I don't have civil and constitutional rights. In Penfield, New York, in Monroe County, in New York State. What are you doing to me, Todd Baxter? What are you doing to me, Sandra Doorley? You can't answer that question. Because to answer that question is a confession that you're abridging my civil and constitutional rights with your hatred. You are consumed by hatred at the district attorney's office, the sheriff's office, and incompetence. And you will refuse to comply with every single Freedom of Information law document that I just read. And you're using civilians to get here, like this Elliot Roth. Elliot doesn't want to open his mail. This is the guy twice. Elliot, I'm walking through the parking lot for the 4,000th time. And there you are, and you're smiling. Smiling, Elliot, because you're a misanthrope. And you say to me, you're going to be arrested, and I don't know what you're talking about. And it doesn't matter to you that I don't know what you're talking about. Who told me I was going to be arrested, Elliot Roth? What do you think's in here? I'm demanding you answer that question. And when I contact the United States Attorney for the Western District of New York, James P. Kennedy Jr., you're going to get this again. It's again going to come back. Just like this guy. How'd you get here, Todd Baxter? Certified mail. I'm not just putting this in the post office box and hoping it gets there. This is the guy who used the civilian. That's why he sends it back to me. This civilian, Steve Desmond. This civilian you used to get to my residence with Shannon Meyer fell down on my backyard. This is just sick as a disgusting, repulsive act. John P. Lomenzo Jr. This is John P. Lomenzo Jr. attacking this envelope here. He's refusing to open his mail. Demanding that Nairaj Shah prove they own this land next to my residence. Nairaj, I'm sure you're going to concoct more crimes for me. Nairaj refused. Nairaj, you don't have the documentation. Monroe County Office of Real Property Director Timothy Murphy can't confirm you own this land next to my house, and you refuse to open your mail. Nairaj, why don't you open your mail? But you can't prove you own the land. What are you doing here? With your weed whacker, you tracked and leaf blow at 7 o'clock in the morning. What would you think, Todd, the fascist stooge? You're just sleeping with Mrs. Fascist stooge. And here they are at 7 o'clock in the morning for Broccolo Train Lawn Care. I bet your wife would be enraged about being woken up at 7 o'clock in the morning every Saturday, every Sunday, week after week, a month after month. How is that a crime to walk outside here and say they don't own that land and walk back in my residence? You can't answer that question. Party switching, bald headed criminal Todd Baxter, who is also afraid to open his mail. Such a joke. Again, Steve Desmond used to open his mail. Envelope after envelope after envelope here in my hand from these parasites, Nairaj and Layla Kumar Shah, refusing to open the mail. And they're going to demand that I should be arrested again for any number of reasons. You're going to be concocting more crimes for me. There's no doubt about that. You, Todd, are going to be concocting crimes for me because you, Sheriff Todd Baxter, and you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, meet the definition of sociopath. Sociopath. Person with a psychopathic personality whose behavior is antisocial, often criminal, and who lacks a sense of moral responsibility of social conscience. You, Sheriff Todd Baxter, and you, District Attorney Sandra Doorley, do not have moral responsibility or social conscience. My name is Christopher Chichester. I'm 55 years old. I live at 26 Sanders Farm Drive in Penfield, and I have never committed a crime.